Hi everybody, how you doing? And welcome to Taifushin. I'm Iai. Nice to meet you all. Today I'm going to show you a new technique that's got to do with the block and the strike. It's a very special technique and can be done very quick. It's a good against a downward cut and following with a chest cut or a throat cut or eye cut. Sometimes the samurai used to cut the eyes above and then the blood drip into the eyes so the samurai cannot, or the warrior cannot watch. Not only in the samurai time, but also in other styles like Kung Fu, Kali, wherever. Anytime that you use a kind of a blade, you cut here. And once you cut here, the blood drip all over. You cannot see. Also in fighting, when you punch and they open up the eyebrow here, then the boxer or the MMA fighter, they cannot see. And that's bring the fight into a win for the other guy, because when you can't see, it's really hard to fight. And also it burns and hurt. Alright, so let's go into it. And yeah, see you there. And today I'm going to show you a special technique that I actually really like. It's a technique that got to do with a block, okay, like you're blocking and then you're striking. So you can do it with your hands, or you can do, for example, with a hook. Okay, so I can block, or I can block, or I can parry, and then I can strike with a hook or with a knife hand strike. So I do aguke, stoshuchuki, okay, and in Taifushin style, okay, that's a bit different. And now I'm going to show you with the sword a few variation how you can use the katana when we use only one sword in that sense. So when somebody come to cut you from top to bottom, this is the time when you can apply this technique. So the first thing you want to do is you want to withdraw the sword in Uke-Nagashi. Okay, so there are a few different type of Uke-Nagashi. Uke-Nagashi is actually floating block or stream, okay, or flow. Okay, so what will happen is when after I bring my hands in, I push the sword out and bring the saya down. Okay, and then I bring the sword up above the head. I'm turning the mune forward, so when the other sword hit, it will slide along the back side of the blade. Now, the blade from the hit will probably hit my shoulder. So I have to turn it away, so if it's facing too much, it will hit my shoulder and then it will cut my shoulder. So that's a dangerous situation. So you have to make sure that you block, and when the hit of the sword, bring the sword down, he hit the shoulder here. And not too low, because then the sword will continue and cut your forehead or your eye. So you have to bring it high enough and make sure that it hit the shoulder. Now the shoulder will support with the hand, so when the other sword comes, it flows like rain on a roof and doesn't hit you. And then after, you can turn the sword and cut. So this is like, for example, for Uke-Nagashi in Setegata, they do that, right? From kneeling position, they lift up, they turn, and they slice. But today I'm going to show you a different technique that comes from Omuryu, the 6 kata, usually doing from sitting, but we can also do it in Kenjutsu from standing, or Iai Since. So Kenjutsu is while the sword is already out, I block and I cut. But Iai Since is when the sword is already still inside, and then you withdraw it, and then after you will fight the strike and the cut and the stabbing and all those techniques that you have to do, blocking, parrying, etc. And at the end, you will do the chiburi to remove the blood from the sword and then bring it back to the scabbard, the noto. So in Iaido we have, or Iai Since, we have the 4 elements: the nukitsuke, the fighting, the removing the blood, the zanshin, that moment of after you finish killing your opponent and you are assessing what's happening, and also to understand, and also to let those feeling off your head, and all those things that got to do with after the killing, because this is the zanshin, like this alertness after the death, after the fight, and then continue into another fight, or by sheathing the sword after you finish cleaning it after the chiburi. Okay, and then you do the noto, and there are many different types of noto. So these are the four parts of Iai Jitsu. Main four parts are nukitsuke, drawing the sword, then the kiritsuke, all the cutting stuff, and then chiburi, removing the blood from the sword, and then noto, bringing the sword back to its scabbard. So you can apply this technique while you are fighting, or when you are standing normally or walking, depend, and somebody attacking you from the front. Also can be done from the side, of course, but this one we will take from the front. And that you are standing in Shizentai no Kama. Shizen means natural, and Tai means body, and no Kama is posture. So when I'm standing normally, I make sure, first of all, that my knees, they are not straight like that, they're not locked, they're a bit bent, and I have mobility, and my legs are like tiger legs. I can feel the finger goes a little bit down to the floor, and I lower my weight a bit down, but I'm still light and free to move to every direction. This is very important. We use this in ninjutsu a lot and in many other martial arts styles, that Shizen Tai no Kama is a posture that you are actually don't show your opponent that you are ready to fight, but actually you're fully ready. It's just that you don't take like a fighting stance or any kind of traditional fighting stance or modern fighting stance. Or you're standing with the sword, in Seiga no Kamae or Hasso no Kamae or Waki no Kamae, Kocho no Kamae. Okay, there are different type of stances for fighting stance, with the sword or without the sword. So we are approaching the fight with the natural stand, don't show anything, and then suddenly when the fight starts, we begin. Alright, so let's break it down and we start slowly. The first thing you want to do is you want to push the sword out. Then you're going to but when you do it, you're actually turning it a bit inward. The blade already facing inward and the mine, the back of the blade, is facing outward, but in an angle that it won't go down and cut you, so you don't do too much. A little bit, so still the angle of the blade is above. That means that if the sword will cut, it will not hit you with the blade. Okay, that's very important. Okay, the second thing is you want to bring the sword a little bit forward, okay, and then upward, and at the same time push the sai a bit backwards. Okay, then you grab, then usually because he block, the sword will retreat back. So you can actually remove your body forward while the sword is moving backwards. And you avoid already the cut, and now the opponent's head is open. And you will cut him down. I have to remove back a bit because the space here is very small. This is in my wife's living room. Okay, so in Singapore. So here, the first thing is that you want to bring the sword out. I don't do any leg movement at the moment because you can advance, you can retreat, you can go sideways, you can do it sideways as well and cut. There are many different directions that you can apply this technique. Okay, so let's do it on the spot. So the first thing, I bring my hands. So when I bring my hands, I push the fingertips forward and up. So the top hand, the front hand will come from top and the thumb will come under. And then the other hand, the left hand, will come up and get ready to push the tsuba. Okay, so now I'm going up and I'm pulling. Okay, so I go up and I'm pulling and pulling and I'm pushing down the other part, the side, backwards. Okay, so the sword is in the center. I bring up, I push, and I pull down. Okay, and now I push the sword up and I twist it a bit. So you can see now it's not fully as a normal hold. My hand here is actually on a sideway. So it's like I'm holding like a fist, but there is a support here at the flat part of the sword. It's not like normally when I pull, I bring it up and I make sure that my pillow of my finger, of my pinky, is above the symmetric line of the tsuka, of the holding part of the sword, okay? The handle. Because if I hold like that, the sword can flip out, like that. And somebody can take it out of my hand. So I have to keep it here, make sure that the pillow is supporting. This is very basic stuff. I will put a lesson for it and explain all the basic stuff in the future. But right now, let's go again and move to some more advanced stuff, okay? Let's say you already have experience in swordsmanship, right? So now I'll do it with a step forward. So I'm stepping forward and I'm pulling it up, and now I let my body move forward. You see now, actually it can happen that it will hit your head, okay? So first, you're gonna make sure that you play here so it comes down here. Okay, so when the sword is up above your head and the guy is attacking you and you're pulling it out, and then the mune is outside toward the front, okay? So the angle of the sword, you turn the blade inward. You see, now the blade is actually facing to my face. But of course, you don't do it too much because then it will cut your face. So you put it in a way that even if it hit like that, it will go above your head. Or when it hit down, the sword will come down and lean on your shoulder. And then the blade of the opponent will slide just like rain over the roof, okay? And then after you can come and cut, okay? Above the eyes, okay? That's a yokogiri. But because the angle is very hard to make a normal yokogiri, because the sword is already high. So you're gonna go a little bit with an angle. Okay, and then if you want, you can cut from the other side and then you can stab, for example. Okay, so you'll cut from the other side and then you can continue with other different cuts. Continue to do a gyappo kesagiri and another kesagiri from the other side. All right, so all those techniques can be applied with the sword. Let's try to do it again. Right. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this technique and try it at home and see if it works for you. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.